Welcome, friends, to that 1870s homestead. I'm here today with a very special friend, Kelsey from Sweetbriar Farm.
Hi, guys.
To bring you guys a very special episode, something that we've never done before on our channel, but hopefully you guys will benefit from it. So we're going to talk about the difference, pros, cons, just let the conversation go organically on how Kelsey Homesteads, Farmsteads grows food versus how we grow food. And maybe it'll be something that some of you are just thinking about, the idea of becoming more self-sufficient, growing food on your property for your family, and what all the options are that are available to you. So I'm going to ask Kelsey some questions. She might ask me some questions. We'll see how this goes. But so I met Kelsey originally when I was looking for pigs. She was a viewer of the channel, and she was like, hey, we happen to raise pigs for other people. And so I went up and I saw her place, and it was amazing. She has the cows and the pigs and gardens and everything and a family. So I guess one of the questions I asked you was, but do you grow food for the purpose like we do to put up food for our family?
And I would say yes. I think ultimately our goals are probably very similar. We have a growing family, 4 young kids, and Mike and I have always been stubborn and want to do things ourselves. So when you have a lot of kids to feed, that just kind of felt like a natural place for those, I don't know, talents to grow. So although our farm has grown now so that we do produce food for other families as well, I think our main goal is still to make sure that we're providing and growing the best food we can for our kids and our family.
Okay. And so do you think that it's easier or harder in some aspects to have the pressure of growing food for others on you?
That's a really good question. I think I don't feel like my local community is dependent on us to produce all their food. But I do think that we do a really good job of bringing really high quality, fresh, healthy foods to our community, and also things that they can't get anywhere else.
Nice.
So where we live in northern Michigan, it's a rural area that's very low income. We have a lot of poverty and a lot of families and children who don't have access regularly to healthy foods. So I'm trying not to put that thought in my head that it's my job to make sure that they get those things. Sure. But I know that it is a big help that we offer those foods, and we sell them very cheaply.
Okay. So I'm just trying to think in my mind, because this is so hard just for me to do it for me. How do you do it? Because I know you work too. How do you have a farm, and it's not a huge farm, right? But you have a herd of cattle, you have pigs that you raise up to sell feeder pigs every year. You've got the big goat flock. How do you do all of that, produce your family's food, and still have time to run your farm for others?
Well,
it's amazing to me.
We take out more often than I'd like.
Okay.
So that helps on weeknights when we're working. But as our kids get older, they're becoming bigger and bigger helpers, which is really nice. So when we're working on the farm, that's still family time.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And in the kitchen, when we're working to get things that we've grown into the freezer, that's also family time, which helps a lot. But it's a lot, and Mike and I are both fortunate, my husband, that we don't have to work in the summertime, which is when the bulk of the work of producing and storing food happens.
So there's an option. Become a teacher, and then you can have the summers off to grow good food.
Yeah.
But I'd imagine your animals take all year-round care.
Yes.
So that's not a break, something that you get a break from.
And if you're breeding animals, birthing is something that, depending on what it is you're breeding, you really need to be there to make sure that they don't need help, especially the goats. I think our cattle and pigs have been more self-sufficient than the goats, but even those, Mike and I both want to have at least one of us here just in case they need help. We can call in the cavalry if we need to.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So I think for me, I am enamored by people like Mike and Kelsey and others that grow such huge abundance to feed their communities too. I'm in awe of that. You can do it while having a family. And because I know what it takes, right? It's not easy. And we don't. I know we get a lot of questions whether or not we grow food for selling purposes, and we don't. We keep it really small, and we just grow the chickens that we need to eat, the pig that we need to eat, and the turkeys, if it happens to be turkeys that year, and just enough vegetables. I mean, of course, I have plenty to give away and share, but not necessarily a big excess to sell. So are you profitable at what you do?
I think if we stop buying more animals and building more shelters and fencing, we could be. So we're hopeful in the future we will be. And for those of you who aren't familiar, we have been farming vegetables and pumpkins and had chickens for more than 10 years. But when the pandemic hit, that's when we started bringing more livestock onto our farm. So it's fall of 2022 right now while we're filming this. So we're cutting our teeth and figuring it out. So soon I think we'll become profitable, but we're still building up our breeding herds.
Right. Yes, I would imagine a lot more infrastructure too, as you guys are thinking about the pros and cons of it. I mean, so we have to have some infrastructure to maintain our animals, but no, I wouldn't imagine on the scale that you need.
Yeah, and it's different. So for us on our farm, we need to have shelters and fencing that are good for all 4 seasons. And in northern Michigan, winters are long. We get a lot of snow, and it can be very cold. And where we live, it's also, for whatever reason, exceptionally windy. So we need to have really good shelters for our animals. So that's something that we're every year, I think, for the last 3 years, Mike has redone the way our pigs are set up for winter, especially. So we're always trying to better it. But do you guys, you keep your animals mostly in the
just
summer?
our laying hens, yeah. So only our laying hens are with us during the winter, and you saw their coop when you were visiting today. There's nothing that we do extra for them, extra bedding, and that's it. So they're pretty contained. Chickens can handle the cold for the most part.
So, Rachel, when you have like your crop, I know today you were picking up sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes, yeah.
Did you feel a lot of pressure when you get those that like you have to use every single one, or what does that feel like?
Well, I definitely feel like I've got to, it's a weird, my pressure I put on myself is my own internal pressure. Like, I don't have to feel that way, but I do have such a strong desire and goal to not be dependent on the grocery store that, and it's not because of not being able to afford it or anything like that. It's just an ideal. It's a standard that I've established so deeply internally to me. So yeah, I do feel a lot of pressure that my garden must produce what I intended it to produce. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to be self-sufficient. And so I think that that's a false, it doesn't have to be there for everyone though. You can give yourself grace. You can take a breather and not put that pressure on yourself. And you can say, if this crop fails, that's okay. There's a grocery store down the road and I can go get what I need. So I wouldn't say, don't let my perspective sway you that pressure's necessary to be there. Like if I lost, I mean, we choose to stay small. So, and because we choose to stay small, every bit counts. So we only raise 20 meat birds because it's just Todd and I. 20 meat birds is almost 100 meals for us. I can get 5 meals out of 1 bird. So that is, but if I lose one meat bird, that's a pretty good dent in my plans of being able to produce the food that we need on our home. But I'll just go back to that. I think that that's it's not a real it's not a real threat. You know, it's a self-induced threat. So,
are there any, like, if you had to pick one project that you feel is like the most important or the thing you look most forward to each year with
it's
your
definitely canning.
Canning?
Yeah. As hard as it is the reward for everything that we've done.
Yeah.
All the backbreaking work and I not only did I plant the seed, I grew it, I planted it in the garden, and now I have food to feed the family for the year, and this is my reward. Yeah.
That's awesome. And it is, like, it's beautiful just to look at, but it is incredibly impressive. Like, you guys might not be able to tell how deep her shelves are, but, like, holy smokes, you have done an incredible amount of work, and everything looks great. Like, the colors are awesome. It all looks like you could just pop the top and grab a fork.
Yeah, so that's fun. I mean, do you get to have much time for canning in your style of farmsteading, I guess?
So over the years since we've had kids, we have shifted away from canning and moved towards freezing to preserve. So I probably have a similar volume, but not as much variety. But we have a number of freezers that we keep stocked with our stuff. So it's just easier for me with the kids. Canning is so time sensitive.
Right, it is, very much so. Yeah. So I was telling her upstairs earlier when we were visiting, like, I give kudos to any young family that's doing this, that have kids that are busy and active in their own things, that you're raising children and able to do all this. Like, looking back when I was a mom with young kids, I don't know how I would have been able to do it, and it's incredible. So there's lots of options. It's just, I guess, our point in sharing different perspectives, and you just have to internally reflect on what is your family's goals, what are your family's desires, what are you trying to achieve. And we're not trying to necessarily achieve our purpose is not necessarily to make income from our farm. And that's not to say that your purpose to make income is not a great purpose. It's just I don't want that pressure. Yeah. Like I know I couldn't at my age too. I don't know that I would want to take that on. But you guys are thriving and you're doing it, and it's growing every year, so kudos.
Oh, thank you. It is super fun to get to come and visit you guys too and see how you do things here. Like, there's no right or wrong way to do it. No. I think we're on two different roads that lead in the same direction.
Yes, that's a great perspective.
Yeah,
great perspective. And the thing is what I get excited about seeing is, you know, I was watching Sow the Land. I don't know if you guys watch Sow the Land. He was talking about how many people he's taught to harvest chickens this year alone, much less over the last few years through his harvest workshops. And I looked at Todd and I was like, that's amazing that many new people are growing their own food. That's exciting. It takes a lot of the pressure off of the commercial industry, and especially in economies like you're suggesting where you live, that it's low income. The more people that learn to grow their own food, to produce, even if it's a small amount, how much burden that takes off of households. So that's exciting.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
All right. Well, thanks for coming down and having the chat with me today. And I hope you guys are inspired. And maybe you're on a completely different road, but you've gotten some, like, just little nuggets to place in the back of your mind to noodle on. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.